everyone. Welcome to Wind Down Wednesdays. I'm your host, Paula Taylor, and this is episode 183. Today we're going to talk about why we need each other. That's the title of today's episode. And I'm just going to start by saying I'm having a rough time right now in lots of different ways. About a month ago, my guides asked me for a deeper commitment. I think that was about a month ago. And I always say yes. I talked about that on the show. We talk about resistance a lot. We talk about getting out of our own way, things like that. And that's been coming up for me in such a deep way that nothing is going right for me right now. And sometimes that happens. And I think it's important to be transparent and authentic about that. To the point that I got a brand new spiffy microphone to go with my new phone. It's wireless because my new phone doesn't have a microphone jack, and I can't find the part that goes into the phone that allows the microphone to activate. I can't find things. Things are breaking. It's like that kind of stuff. It's like that old saying, when it rains, it pours. And what's been happening is that I've had so many people offer me messages of support and demonstrate that I'm important to them and that I matter, that it's actually making me realize how much I've still been depending on things outside of myself to define my own worth. And there's that 5D term, how important it is that we have each other for support. Not to prove our worth to ourselves, but to hold space for each other when things are difficult, when one of us is struggling. So I'm going to do my best to get through this in a way that makes sense, and it's a really vulnerable one, and I'm not exactly even sure what I'm talking about, other than I know that I was told by my guides to start channeling more directly. So some of this may be a direct channel. And I got back from Mexico last night or yesterday afternoon, and I went almost straight into this marketing meeting for the Cambodia retreat. And it went so amazingly well. This person was so supportive and so amazing and really responded to everything I was saying and really got my vision and just gave me all of these really beautiful actionable steps of how to get where I need to go to do the marketing. And it was just such a beautiful example of being supported. And then I went right back into this space of just feeling scared about everything, feeling scared about stepping more fully into my power, being scared about being more authentic, being scared about essentially offering the commitment that my guides asked me for. And it's always interesting when we're asked to expand. What often happens is initially we agree to the expansion and we have this beautiful opening and everything feels really amazing, and then the contraction comes, and the contraction feels even more contracted than previous contractions, because all of the shadow work around what we are agreeing to starts to come up. A lot of you who follow me on TikTok know that I also follow Erin Brown. Her TikTok name is @ConsciouslyErin. And she's been talking a lot about manifestation. She's a manifestation coach, and she does a daily Schumann resonance update. And she's been talking about how there's this idea of manifestation, law of attraction, where right before the manifestation comes in, things get the most contracted, essentially. She doesn't use quite the same wording as I do, but it's this idea that all of the limiting beliefs you have around this thing you're trying to manifest show up. And at the beginning of this year, I do a rebirthing ceremony every year, and we do 3 things we're clearing, 3 things we're letting go of, 3 things we're birthing or rebirthing, and 3 things we're calling in. And the 3 things I said I was clearing were shame, which came out of nowhere, lack, and feeling unworthy. And I manifested this invitation to clear those things, and it has been kicking my butt. It has been really difficult. And so when my guides asked me for more of a commitment, I didn't know exactly what that meant. I knew some of the demonstrable steps they were asking me to work more deeply with these archangel sigils and to be more vocal about the angelic energy that I work with, which is still really uncomfortable for me. And I didn't quite realize that saying yes was going to bring me into this big contraction. You'd think I would know that, but it's kind of like having a child. If all you remembered was the pain of the labor, you might never have another child, and people oftentimes have multiple children. So you've got to sort of forget the difficulty of the labor process a little bit and remember the beauty of what comes out of it. And so I agreed to this, whatever they were asking me for. And again, initially I had this big sort of opening, and the contraction came pretty quickly afterwards. And I talked a little bit about people leaving my field and things that were going on. I've been talking around this for a while. And then last night, when I was going to bed, I got this really stern message from my guides, and every once in a while it was like a wake-up call. I say stern, but it always feels loving. It's a little bit like when you have to keep your toddler away from the stove so they don't put their hand on the stove because they've done it 3 times in a row, and you have to get a little bit like stern with them. And essentially what they were saying to me was that I needed to start saying flat out who I am and where I came from, my quantum origin. And I've said it a few times, and I am pretty open about it in the online community, the Spiritual Awakening Sanctuary. But in a broader space, it still feels really uncomfortable to me, and it's still, it awakens a lot of this fear around being persecuted that comes, that some people call the witch wound, the healer wound, because I have been in multiple lifetimes. I have very vivid recollections of many of my human lifetimes and non-human lifetimes at this point. And a lot of them have ended really terribly because of me being who I am quantumly. And at the source of everything, we are all source. And as soon as we differentiate from source, that first origin is essentially the core of our being that we take with us throughout all of our lifetimes. And it's a little, I'm still trying to wrap my brain around this, and eventually they want me to write a book about it. But it's a hard concept to understand because as humans, we experience time as linear, but time is really not linear. So it's easiest to understand this using a linear time frame idea. So at one point we were all pure source energy. Source was, or oneness, or God, or ki, chi, prana, whatever word you want to use for it. I kind of like source because it feels pretty neutral to me now. And at a certain point, source energy was like, I don't know what I am because I'm all one thing, and I'm going to make something that's a little bit not me so I can figure out what I am. And the example I was used for this is like, we don't know what light is. If everything's light, what's light? We have to have not light to understand what light is, so then we have dark. And so source began to differentiate parts of itself out from itself, from this very slight differentiation, which is the realm of source, or what I call the seraphim, the first differentiation of source, to the archangels, which are second differentiation, angels, third differentiation, and then all these beautiful, amazing starseed beings that don't have corporeal bodies, that exist as pure energy with enough not source to have some physicality to them, all the way down to what we see here, which is the human and physical realm of density of matter that exists in the 3D, all the way down to what I call mud world, which is like this primordial ooze that to me feels like the most differentiated, the densest space. There might be denser spaces. This is just what I have seen and experienced in my visioning and experience with clients, and all of the things I do that link me to the spiritual. And so when I was lying in bed last night, they were basically sort of giving me this message. Every once in a while this comes through, and it's sort of like, how dare you play small? How dare you present yourself as anything less than you are, because you are an amazing being of light and love. And if you are here to serve, which I believe all of us are, you cannot fully serve when you are in hiding, when you are not claiming your light and letting it shine. And there's degrees of this. We open a little bit, and then we open a little bit more, and we open a little bit more. And I'm at the edge of this really big new expansion opening that feels really uncomfortable and really vulnerable. And it's bringing up all these things I said I was going to clear at the beginning of the year, this shame and this lack and this feeling of being unworthy. And so I've been having a lot of GI issues, and essentially last night they were like, if you want those to go away, you have to stop swallowing your truth. You have to stop hiding who you are. You have to start saying who you are. And they started telling me what I needed to say, that I needed to get on TikTok and post this video this morning. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And like my belly just kept getting more and more and more upset. And finally, when I got up this morning, I just had this visceral understanding, like, if I don't do this, I'm not going to feel good physically. I already feel kind of bad emotionally. I've already got the reflection of all of this stuff, sort of little things going wrong that add up to a feeling of big things going wrong around me. And it was like, but the body thing was the last straw, this like really intense sort of GI stuff that's been coming up. So I was like, fine, I'm going to do this, but you have to speak through me. I just can't do it. I can't get on there and say everything you want me to say. If you really want me to say it, like, you just speak through me, which has been an interesting experience. I've been doing more direct channeling, and I've been direct channeling sound and light language for a long time, but direct channeling English is a little bit different and something that I'm still working on. And also feels like a safe way to sort of let them come through and get my personality, human ego, Paula self out of it. But essentially they made me come on and say, I am Seraphim, and Seraphim is the infinite vibration of the universe. It is the Om. It is the sound that vibrates physicality into being. It is the source vibration that creates everything. That is what Seraphim is, and that is my quantum origin. That is my first differentiation from source. And I've learned so much about this angelic realm, which, if the word angelic is triggering for you, you can just think of it as close to source. And I have all of these people showing up who have angelic origins. And I cannot help them remember who they are if I am not honest about who I am. If I don't go first, they cannot follow me. And the reason that I'm calling this episode Why We Need Each Other is because that is what is spurring me on to continue this expansion and to take this leap and to start being clearer about the energy that I'm working with and calling it angelic energy and calling dimensional frequency expansion 7 dialects of angelic light language, out of which all other light language comes. And I've been saying this privately in certain spaces or to certain people for a while now, but they want me to really own this and to really be clear about it. And without all of this reflection of how the work I do helps other people, I would not have the courage to do this. If I was just doing this for myself, this might be the point when I just lie down on the ground and quit and say, I can't, it's too much, where the resistance overcomes me. And that's what 2025 is about. We're being presented with these opportunities for huge growth. And with that sometimes comes such fear and resistance and density that we can't move forward. And why we need each other is to help each other continue to move forward. I have had so much support over the last 5 years, 6 years of learning who I am, of channeling in this dimensional frequency expansion, of starting to teach it. There have been so many people who have come forward to help me on this journey, to give me opportunities to teach, to present, to figure out, how do I teach this? How do I help other people learn this? How do I awaken other people so that they remember who they are? Whether it's angelic origin, starseed origin, elemental origin, it doesn't matter what your first differentiation origin is, but you are here in this human lifetime to connect with those gifts and to share them. And if you are resonating with me, if you are following me, if you are listening to me, then you have a non-human quantum origin that is begging to be reawakened. And I can help you do that. I'm not the only one, but I am someone who can help you do that. Because of the angelic energy, I have access to all other types of energy because it is the umbrella for all other energies that came out of it. And if I had not had so much support from all of these amazing people, other practitioners, students, clients, people in this spiritual awakening sanctuary, reviews on Insight Timer. I just got a couple really nice reviews. I haven't had anything on Insight Timer in months. And it's very clear to me that the universe is trying to show me how supported I am. And yet in that support, I have been feeling really discouraged and kind of sad and lonely and unworthy. I've been confronting my feelings of being unworthy. And I realized, again, if I can't be honest about this and transparent about this, how can I expect anyone else to do that? And I have people looking to me to be an example. I have set myself up to do that. And I am doing it. I am going to continue doing it, no matter how hard it is, no matter how much resistance comes up. And so first of all, I just want to say to you that if you are one of those people who has been reaching out to me and sending me encouragement and showing up and being a fellow practitioner and being a friend and being someone who resonates with me at all, making comments on my TikTok, I get such lovely, beautiful thoughts from people on TikTok. I just want to say thank you. And I want you to know how important it is that we have each other. This is why we have each other. To hold the space of support and love, and to form these communities that are based on love and resonance. And to recognize that not everyone is going to resonate with you, and that's okay. That does not mean that you're unworthy. It just means that you're not in resonance. I just had a really beautiful conversation with someone about being a human being who is in touch with their quantum origin and who understands how to move in all these different energetic spaces and yet somehow never feels like they fully belong anywhere. And I think that is why they really want me to start using the word angelic and telling you that this is my origin, because there's a lot of us out here, and if we can find each other, we can support each other. We need each other. In order for society to shift, in order for this 3D to 5D expansion to happen, in order to move out of fear and into love, out of that all or nothing black or white and into this all-inclusive, loving vibration that we are meant to transition into, there is no way to do this alone. There is no way to do this without a community. This is why we need each other. And now more than ever, we need to start being honest about who we are. Those of us who know and who remember, the only way those who are feeling called to awaken can awaken is if those of us who have been awakened talk about it and share who we are. And that I just had a conversation about that as well, this idea of, if I put myself fully out there, what am I opening myself up to? And there is that fear, that healer wound, that persecution wound, what some people call a witch wound. If you are awakening, you have been here before. You have lived probably many human lifetimes, and a lot of them probably ended violently because of you standing in your power, to the point that we have dimmed our lights collectively, and most of us don't remember who we are and we don't claim our power. And part of this transition is stepping into that, is that re-empowerment process. And we can't do it alone. We need each other. And it's an interesting 5D inclusivity idea that in the 3D might feel like cognitive dissonance. I cannot find my worth outside myself. I have to accept my inherent worth. And when people help me and support me and send me kind words, it helps me claim my worth. I am not basing my worth off of them. That would be a 3D situation. I'm getting hits of dopamine because I get this many likes on my video. And that still exists. And that's why this is so hard. That's why this transition is so hard, is that at a certain point, those hits of dopamine do not do what they used to, because there needs to be an internal shift into this empowerment, into this claiming of your worth, into this claiming of your light and letting it shine. And we still need each other. We need each other's support. We need each other's encouragement. We need each other to sometimes hold up a mirror and say, look at how amazing you are. You've forgotten that. And I am not unique in having these gifts. I am uniquely differentiated from Source, and I have unique experiences that make me uniquely able to offer the gifts that I am offering. And I'm not special in any other way other than I am a unique differentiation. I'm not more special than anyone else. Everyone here is a unique differentiation who's had multiple lives and these quantum origins that you can absolutely begin to tap into and learn how to use in this physical reality that will allow us to expand into a more spiritual way of being. And what we are seeing with this westernized capitalist society right now is that we've gotten so far away from remembering who we are collectively, of being in tune with spirituality, that we have created a soulless society. And it cannot, spirituality is the foundation of everything. Energy is the foundation of everything. Vibration is the foundation of everything. If you pretend that it does not exist, you have built a house of cards. You have built a rickety house on stilts without a foundation. And we're seeing this in real time. We're seeing the collapse of this house of cards that was built on an egoic 3D way of being. And the only way to transition out of that and into a 5D way of being is through mutual aid and mutual support, and finding small communities where you are seen and supported for exactly who you are. And the beautiful part about that is that everyone can find a space of resonance. If we can allow for inclusivity, if we can allow people to be who they are, as long as they're not hurting someone else, we do not have to resonate with them. We do not have to all be in one community. As we can move into inclusivity, we can support all of these beautiful little communities into recognizing that underneath we are all the same quantum substance, which is unconditional love. And this is why we need each other. This is why we need to support each other. This is why we need to help each other. This is why we need to recognize when someone in our community is hurting and offer them some kind words and offer them some energy and some love. And recognizing as well that we're not responsible for anybody else's state of being, and we can still offer that love and allow them to receive it when they can. You could offer so much love to someone, and if they're not in a space to receive it, it's not going to shift their experience. However, the way I see this is this idea of chipping away gently at marble. And eventually, as you chip away at the marble, all of a sudden we have the statue of David. We have this beautiful piece of art. As you offer energy, as you offer love, as you offer support to other people, that also comes back to you threefold. That's that kind of Wiccan idea, or this idea that indigenous people understood and that we have completely lost touch with. That as we give, we receive. And as we allow ourselves to receive, then we make space for giving. And it starts with honest conversations. It starts with talking about the things that have hurt us and led us here. And then creating space to release those so that we can lift each other up. So that we can recognize when things are triggering, when we have feelings of lack and unworthiness and shame coming up, that we don't have to hide. Shame, I did a show a long time ago called The Sneaky Slithery Slug of Shame. Shame flourishes in the dark. And when we talk about the things that bring us shame, the things that we have shame around, we take away the power of the shame. And it's very interesting to note, I'm realizing as I'm saying this, like I have had shame around using the term angelic. And there's a lot of reasons for that are my own reasons, my own kind of baggage and history of being raised in kind of a dogma of religion. And also worrying that I was going to trigger someone else. And what I realize now is that I can't help dispel someone else's shame if I am still hiding my own. So I unashamedly proclaim that I am Seraphim and that I have access to vibrations that can help other people remember who they are, because none of us are really people. If you're here at this time in history, you've been a person long enough, and it's time to remember where you first came from, where your first differentiation was, and to use those skills. Because you have a very unique, I'm thinking of Liam Neeson, you have a very unique set of skills, and it's time to share those with the world. Yeah. So I think I'm going to leave it there and just say, if you are enjoying the show, we would love to have you join us in the Spiritual Awakening Sanctuary. You will have access to all the amazing meditations and activations we do with each show. You'll have access to the bonus episodes that don't air with the rest of the podcasts. You'll have access to some exclusive discounts and a really lovely space in which to explore all of these topics that we talk about, including the 3D and the 5D with other like-hearted individuals. It can feel like a long and lonely journey sometimes. And it can feel like exposure is worse than death sometimes. Know that you are always supported in the quantum, and that is reflected in the physical when you can allow yourself to receive that support and let go of the judgment when you can't. Know that you are on this journey to remembering who you are, to sharing your unique gifts with the world, and have patience and love and non-judgment for yourself as much as possible. Have a beautiful rest of your day or evening. I will see you next week for Wind Down Wednesdays.